What's up, y'all? Thank you guys so much for tuning in today to A Journey to Fulfillment. My special guest today is Mr. John Rhymes. Mr. Rhymes has been my mentor since I was in the 7th grade, middle school, and Mr. Rhymes has been a great help to me. Mr. Rhymes, how are you? Thank you for being here today.
I am wonderful. It's great to be here, and it's great to see you and to have this opportunity to talk with you in another realm of your life.
Thank you, Mr. Rhymes. Well, I'm glad to have you again. So, for those who may not know who you are, what you do, and where you're from, just give us a little brief background of yourself.
Okay. As Julian has already said, my name is John Rhymes. I am a native of the state of Mississippi. Came to Flint in 1970. I am the product of a family of 12 children, with me being the 12th child. Never was raised with my sisters and brothers though, because my parents died when I was my mother at 1 year old and my father when I was 14. So I had some great things to happen me as I journeyed to the state of Michigan. I received my undergrad work from Mississippi Valley State University in Itta Bena, Mississippi, with a Bachelor of Science degree in elementary education. And my other education is a master's degree from Eastern Michigan University in guidance and counseling, and leadership from Wayne State University.
Okay, Mr. Ryan, that's good. So now let's talk about your journey in Mississippi. So now, how was it growing up in Mississippi? You know, we have a big cultural difference, you know, in Mississippi. So how was it for you?
Well, Mississippi, it was a close-knit community because I lived in the rural areas of Mississippi. Wasn't fortunate like you young people are today to have a car. All of those things. I had to walk to most places that I went to because I lived with my aunt and she didn't have a car. My cousins, they had cars, but we barely used their cars to do. Even when I needed to go somewhere, I had to check around and see could I get a ride there. So I did a lot of walking and did a lot of walking. A lot of having to get out there and really find out for myself what exactly I needed to do. My auntie was not a person who was educated, and so therefore, so that also says you don't have to have an educated person for you to be self-motivated to do some things that you need to do in order to become the person that you need to become. She was very supportive. As long as you get that support from people, and even if you don't get the support, it might not be the support you need from family, but people like myself and other people who are willing, and that's what happened to me. My church family was great. They always was looking out for me, especially the pastor that I had at that time. But I worked hard. I think the ethic that I gained most from my experience as a Mississippian was hard work. I worked in the fields, I worked in the cornfield, I worked in the cotton field. And I recall in my junior and senior year in high school, I left Mississippi and went on a summer job in North Carolina. And what I did in North Carolina was not an easy task. It was scrapping tobacco.
Wow.
And that was a hard job. So I had a lot of jobs that were different. They were not easy. They caused me to have to put my mind to it and say, I can do this. And I think now that I look back at it, it was a great experience. I truly hated it at the time, but now I can say it made me the man that I am today.
That's awesome, Mr. Rhymes. That's awesome. So now let's talk a little bit about, so you were in Mississippi, you went through high school in Mississippi. So how was your transition from high school to college?
Well, I was the kind of student that I knew that I didn't have any help at home. because there was no way that my auntie was going to be able to help me with any math, any reading, any of that, because she could not read. Her education went as far as just making a line for a signature. So I didn't have that any help, and it was just her, myself, and her husband.
Yeah.
And so I had to really get focused at school.
Yeah.
I had to take notes. I took a lot of notes. I can't even tell you what caused me to know you gotta pay close attention.
Yeah.
You gotta take things down off of the board, and you gotta have to use that by looking at it when you get home and you're trying to work your problems.
Yeah.
Look at those notes and say, oh, that's how she got that.
Yeah.
Most of the time it were women teachers at my early stages.
Yeah.
And so so it made me know that I had to focus, because when I got home, I was gonna be lost if I did not pay attention in school. So maybe where other people were playing around, I knew that I had to focus.
Yeah. So that kind of caused you to be very independent, you know, on yourself. You couldn't rely on anybody, and you know, I mean, that it has its pros and its cons. So now, how was that for you, you know, in college?
Well, in college, I worked hard. I didn't, to be honest with you, I did not get a scholarship to go to college, and I don't feel bad about that. But I stayed on top of my grades enough that I did not graduate as the lowest person in my class, but I did not, and I didn't put in for a lot of scholarships, because they didn't talk to us a lot about scholarships to go to school and how you're going to pay for it and those kinds of things. We didn't get those kinds of discussions. But when I got to college, I really wanted to go. And I had an experience of going there, going through, I don't know how much it has changed now, but during this time, registering for college was a headache. I mean, lines after lines after lines. You stand in the line and get up to the professor, and they say, oh, class is closed. And so then you got to go try to find another class. I did that for 4 days, on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then Friday morning, I was back to finish it up. Got finished by noon, and the next step, as you know, was the financial aid office. I got to the financial aid office, and I got one of the worst statements said to me that could ever be said. I don't see any money for you.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? Because when I left home, my auntie was working on borrowing the money for me to go to school. So then of course, she had given me money to have for a week or so. So I decided, and it was nothing but God, I know, that said to me, leave your stuff here and go home and see what's happening. So that's what I did. On a Saturday evening, I got on the bus, which was 300 and some miles from my hometown.
Wow.
And I rode it back to my hometown, and being in the country of Mississippi and Hazelhurst, and I didn't have a car, but there was always people uptown who knew me, and I could get a ride out in the country. And so I got home, and she told me, oh no, they wouldn't let me get the loan, and I wasn't doing this, and I wasn't gonna do that. But she didn't see again. She didn't call me, or she didn't try to get in contact with me to tell me that. And so I cried. I cried like a big baby for that whole Saturday evening after I got home. But church was the backbone too, because you had people there who would look out for you. And I went to church that Sunday morning, and I'm sitting in the audience, and the pastor said, John, what are you doing here? And I said, we'll talk after church. And after church, I went up and I told him what had happened. He said, I want you back on that bus this evening, and I want you to go back to school. I'm going to write you a letter. I want you to give the letter to Mr. Haney, which Mr. Haney was from my hometown, and he was the dormitory director at the school. And that's exactly what I did. I got back on the bus because I still had money.
Yeah.
Went back to school, found Mr. Haney. He said, come see me in the morning. And I did do that. And the next day, he took me around to financial aid and work study.
Wow.
And I got a job working in the student union. That was my first job. And I worked my way through from the student union. I worked in the cafeteria.
Wow.
And I worked my way all the way through college except for my last semester. My last semester, I had to do student teaching. And I've had some experiences that I think made me strong, and I didn't even know it. I was the first person from the university for them to send to a Catholic school.
Wow.
To do my student teaching.
Wow.
And my major was elementary education.
Yeah.
And when I went to that school,
Yeah.
I taught 12th grade economics.
Wow.
I taught 10th grade sociology,
Wow.
8th grade American history, and 6th grade social studies. So
You was all over.
I was all over the
Yeah.
place, and that was preparation. So when I got out of class, I was in the convent where the nuns doing my lesson plans.
Wow.
And then I found out that there were 2 young men from the university working at the public high school. And I called the person they were living with and said, do you have any extra room?
Wow.
And they said, well, no, we don't, but if one of the guys want to share a room with you, we'll do that. And we did that, and then I had a ball. I had a ball because also there were some young ladies there who was living in a house not too far from us. So, of course, we did a lot of having fun and hanging out and stuff. So I think those experiences truly, I can say, which I've had a number of them that made me the strong man that I feel I am today.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So now, what was that, feeling that you got? If you can describe, one word and give a brief definition of it, what was the feeling that you had, when your pastor blessed you, when he gave you that hope back, he gave you that drive back to say, okay, wow, somebody's believing in me, somebody's, pushing for me, to reach my full potential?
It was exciting, and it really let me know just how much he cared about me.
That's awesome.
And I think that I know I do a lot of the same kinds of things, even in my mentoring and in my working with young men. It feels good. So I can imagine how some of them probably feel when I do some things that they didn't think that I would do, or I come to their rescue, and I do a lot of that, that you don't know. I was just kind of sharing with you how I just got off the phone with a young man in Georgia who used to live with me, and there's some fatherly things that I had to do with him, and but I'm not his biological father, but he sees me as his father. And so I think that it's just great to know that there are people out there that care. There are people out there, if you do what you're supposed to do, they'll look out for you.
That's
and
awesome.
So they looked out, and in a place like Mississippi, in a place like the little town I lived in, Hazelhurst, there was a close-knit community, and the houses was like that down the street, and we were all cousins.
That's good.
And so, so I did have a lot of fun growing up. I am the first graduate from high school of my immediate family.
Wow.
Of course, I'm the first graduate from college, and probably I'm the only one in my immediate family who went into education.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So how has your experience been working with kids? You've been working with kids for how long now? In teaching, mentoring?
30, probably like 35, 36 years.
Wow, Mr. Rhines, yes. So how has that been for you? How was the journey from the beginning?
I've been a person that I started making those bonds in my first year of teaching.
That's good.
My first year of teaching, I taught a 5th grade class. And at the end of that year, was very firm now. Well, you know that.
Yes.
I was very firm, but they knew I loved them.
Yeah.
And so I didn't take no mess. I didn't take no playing around.
Yeah.
You had to do your work. You had to do this. And I have always been that person that I was a very strong disciplinarian. And so therefore, I used to tell people I could go downtown and shop and leave my class with nobody in that room.
Wow.
And come back and they'd be still doing what I left to do.
Yeah.
So that's for somebody to be able to say that.
Yeah.
They have a strong disciplinary focus, which was not harsh.
Yeah.
It's just that they knew I'm in business.
Yeah.
And they also know I cared a lot about them.
That's awesome.
So at the end of that year, that 5th grade year, which was my first year, the principal said to me, I want you to move up next year to 6th grade with that same class. And when these kids got their report card and they saw my room up over there, they was like, they all thought they had failed. So they were coming back to see me, and I had to tell them that. And then it was in my 6th grade year. No, it was my 5th grade year. That's when I became a big brother. The principal saw that I had great relationships with young people. And she and the child's mother, the young man's mother, met, and she came in my room, and she was not an easy principal.
Yeah.
And she walked in my room, and I think I shook for the rest of the morning.
Wow.
And she said, "Can I see you at lunchtime?" And that's it. And I'm like, "Oh, what did
anxious.
I do?"
Like, what did I do?
Yeah. So I went to see her, and that's when she told me that she would like for me to be a big brother to this young man named Greg McKay, and that his mother and her had talked and felt that I would be. So I became. So Greg was my first little brother. And so then Greg, and then there were several others that I played big brother to. And then eventually I was called on because I did things at school, after school with kids, like drill teams, dance teams, and things of that nature. And then I got asked to work with the Kudos. And so that's how I got into that mentoring with young men. And then I became a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, and when I got in there, they knew about my working with the Kudos. Of course, they came right to me and say, "How about working with the Kappa Leaguers?" And so that's how I ended up with both groups.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So now, excuse me, in working with, you said the drill team and the dance team, what did those teams consist of?
The drill team was precision drills, I know you've seen drill teams with, cadence and marching and lefts, rights, or precision drills. All of that was a part of what I did with that. And there was a song that was real famous back in the day called Young, Gifted, and Black. And so I had a dance team that I did a routine with to do that. So that was most of the girls that did that.
That's good.
But yeah, the drill teams, I got some pictures somewhere at home with them mascots. I had little kids. They were their mascots and everything. So it's been a great journey. I'm just giving you this because I saw you the other day. But this week has been the most amazing time for me in my work because I get sometimes you can feel like this is not working.
Yeah.
And right now, even though I've changed from the Kudos to Kappa League, the Kudos and Kappa League I'm not working with, and I'm working with another group under the Institute, and I mentor at different schools. So I started with a session Monday morning, a session yesterday afternoon, and Tuesday afternoon, a session yesterday afternoon. And the one yesterday afternoon, only one young man came.
Wow.
And two young men were with me who are in my larger program, and they they came to work with me, and so nobody had told this young man why he was coming to see me, and so he didn't want to be there, and so I just changed everything to make him feel comfortable being there and let him know that we were there to help him, and he had a great time. When I would get to something, I would throw it back to them and say, "Tell me why this is important." You know, I talked about that little activity I do with attitude, knowledge, and hard work. Got him. We worked through that with him, and he saw then how important his attitude is.
Yeah.
And so that was great. And Monday night had an awesome rehearsal for my first rehearsal. In preparation to do a presentation for Dr. King's.
Awesome.
And so I said, the Lord has blessed me every day this week. I might not have had a big group of young men, but the ones I had, like one. And I felt like I had 10.
That's awesome.
When I left there yesterday.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now, let me ask you a quick question. So why is it that nowadays, millennials don't take advantage of programs, like yours and other programs, around the community that can help benefit and uplift them? Why do you feel like that?
I don't know if they are being taught the importance of programs like that, because I think that they feel like if you are not, and I think in my programs we have some fun. No, it's not all fun.
Yeah, right.
But we do have some fun, and we do, do great things, because I know just before Christmas, I piled all of the young men who came to that Saturday meeting, because I was going to take them to Dave and Buster's down by Utica, but we found out that was a little expensive. So we decided just to go to McDonald's. And they had a great day. And then the first time I took them to McDonald's, over on Stewart, the lady in McDonald's, she was calling the people in the back, "Come over here and meet this man." And she was telling them I was somebody from somebody else I had worked with. And she even offered, some of them said, "Fill out an application online and give me a call." And I don't know if Eddie followed Eddie. It was Eddie that was supposed to be able to do that. But I think it's just that they are not seeing the value. I'm looking at, matter of fact, I have a male summit that I want to do next month. And I really want, my dream is to have young men who have been through my mentoring program to come back and be the people to talk to these young men and let them know, okay, when you see a program like that, you might not, it's not going to be fun all the time. But there are going to be some fun days, and there are going to be some time that you're going to have to buckle down and do. There are going to be some homework assignments. And take it serious. So I don't know, it bothers me because it's almost like they're looking for numbers too. And I have to keep saying numbers is not what it's all about.
Right.
There was a time when those groups were busting at the seam. But now they are not busting at the seam. And I don't feel, I don't make excuses for it. It seems that though when you talk to them, they sports is where their minds go. And we do that to them too. Because I recall yesterday when I was working with the one young man, and he said that he had an anger problem. So the first thing, one of the young men that was working with me, he's a basketball player. First thing he said, "You need to, and your size though, you probably need to play football." And see, but that was the only connection that he had toward that, but not saying, and that's maybe what we're gonna have to talk about. What in this program that you could have said to help him to see this also can help you.
Okay. So now, being a mentor yourself, and now working with young men, what are some advice, what is some advice or some tools that you would like to give to young men who may not be a part of your program or a part of any other program around the community that, you know, could benefit from, you know, your advice as far as helping them, you know, reach their goals, helping them as far as out of their situations with, you know, their parents from broken homes, being around friends, you know, that aren't beneficial to them.
Exactly.
What advice?
Well, I think that one of the things, they got to be willing to listen.
Mm-hmm.
They got to be willing to, everything is not going to come to you always in a fun way.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to make some sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to give up some time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of times it's not. And if I don't find it fun the first time, I want to give up.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. Sometimes and I work hard at trying to make it so that you can see because I have an example of a young man who came to him. We just told him about it the other day. He came to the meeting and his mother brought him. She had called me and she walked in there with him and we was already started. And you could tell from his face he didn't want to be there. And so I said to his mother, he doesn't want to be in here. Yeah. And she said, yeah. And she just said that to me and walked straight on out the door. I changed all of the activities for that night to have him to mingle with the other boys and do team building activities and put them together and work with that. At the end, I stopped again and said, let's talk about tonight.
Yeah.
And he got up and said, I didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
But you know what? This was good.
Yeah. And
he's still with me now.
That's awesome.
So, I don't know if you remember Terrell Gregory is the one that's doing that. And so I think it's just a matter of them taking the time. I have a young man now who I spoke with the aunt last night, and she said, did he participate? And I said, well, I was going to talk to you because he did seem withdrawn, and I'm going to now take a different tack.
Yeah.
So parents have to learn that they might sometime have to seek that person out that's working with their child and let them know what some of the issues are.
Yeah.
And then they can know how to tailor their program to meet their child's needs. So I told her, I said, I'm going to talk to him personally. He has a speech to write, and I think I got the number because she was supposed to call and give it to me, but I didn't get it. But I think they have to seek people out more. They have to ask questions. If they don't understand something, don't feel like they can't raise their hand and ask the question. Forget about what their friends are thinking. And know that I'm the one that's going to need this later on. And because some young people, they're smart and they can goof off and do that. But some of us, like myself, we have to focus and stay focused. And have fun, but learn how to do it and then learn how to take care of business.
Yes, awesome, Mr. Ryan's awesome. So I heard you mention quite a while ago Dr. King's celebration production. Tell us a little bit about that. What is that about for those who don't know?
Dr. King, of course, all of you know, he was a civil rights leader, and people are still celebrating his work. You yourself have been a part of programs that I put together. I'm known for my outstanding performances with you guys at the Flint Public Library, at churches around the city, and all over. But the group that I'm working with now, we've had an opportunity to write grants for two activities. One is a water drive that we are going to be doing on January the 20th at Metropolitan. It's a student-led activity.
Awesome.
So they are giving them an opportunity to run it. They really had to write the grant. They had to say what they wanted to do. Matter of fact, I just left, before coming here, the t-shirt shop to look at they're gonna have a
Yeah,
T-shirt, and
yeah.
what's gonna be on the T-shirt, and they had made that decision
Mhm.
before they left me Monday.
Mhm.
And so that's one of the activities. The other one, we wrote a grant, an MLK grant,
Mhm.
for mentoring third grade boys. And so we want to work on improving their reading. And I did receive a call asking, could I take it a step further and have them to read, but also once they have gotten that story down, that we could take them to a senior citizen home
Yes.
or something, which is a great idea. It's truly more work on me,
Yes.
so that's what we are doing, and these things are all centered around the MLK Day. If you can do something, be a service for that day.
Yes.
Try to do or go to a program. I know there's a program at Metropolitan Church.
Mhm.
There's going to be programs earlier in the morning.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's a cost for those other programs, but I know there's not a cost
Yeah.
for the one in Metropolitan. And matter of fact, my group that I'm working with now will be performing
Awesome.
at Metropolitan
Awesome.
on Monday
Awesome.
at 12 o'clock.
Awesome. Okay, so now, before we wrap up, Mr. Rhymes, as you know, we're talking, the name of the show is A Journey to Fulfillment. So I would like to know a little bit about what you believe fulfillment means.
Fulfillment to me means when you have been able to do something and you find that you're enjoying it, that you might not have had that same feel at the beginning, and when you can look back over your life
Mm-hmm.
and see the things that you have
Yeah.
participated in and the things that you have accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have fulfilled a lot of
That's awesome.
goals and a lot of things. I keep saying to myself, my goodness, I don't realize went to Walmart too before I came here, and there were people in there. Hey, Mr. Rhymes.
Yeah.
A young man ran from the back to come up and say hi to me.
That's
And
awesome.
he joined Kappa League.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told him, I said, he said, let me know if I can come see you later on today.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. I said, but I stopped calling you so much. And he
Yeah.
said, why? I said, because you put a post on Facebook that said, well, I don't communicate with you all. It's because I'm just trying to get myself together or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, that wasn't for you, that's for them. So I think fulfillment is looking at what it is that you want to do with your life and working hard to get to those goals. For instance, yourself, I know you probably got a lot of dreams. And then one day you'll be able to look back at it and say, I reached those. And I have to think about all the people that helped me to get where I am even today.
Yeah.
If my auntie would know and was able to see the man that I become, I think she would just be so pleased.
Awesome.
Because I feel good about my accomplishments. I feel good. I've had my recent awards was I won a trip to Israel year before last. And so it's like I'm not expecting it either.
Yeah.
And it's just that I'm doing the work. So
Yeah.
do what you enjoy doing. And I tell my students, if you enjoy what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life.
That's great advice. Great advice, Mr. Rhymes. Well, again, Mr. Rhymes, I want to thank you so much for being a guest today on my show. I appreciate it. You guys, don't forget that you can catch this interview stream on YouTube. You can also view all of my release dates, my topics, and my next special guest on my social media pages. Again, Mr. Rhymes, thank you so much for being here. Remember, I'm your host, Jay Ryan.